Get the talk out of my head.
What's good, film buffs? It's Straight Shooter back at Team Sound Studios for another episode of How I See It. And it's a spoiler review today of The Gentleman, directed by Guy Ritchie, and it stars a lot of people: Charlie Hunnam, Hugh Grant, Michelle Dockery, Colin Farrell, and a host of other people. It's a gangster movie. Basically, what happens in the movie is, okay, we start with Charlie Hunnam and Hugh Grant's characters. They're in a house, and Hugh Grant is explaining to Charlie Hunnam why he should pay him for information that he provided. Most of the story is told through this narration of him telling the story. And basically, Matthew McConaughey is the drug lord who deals in marijuana. People are trying to buy his business or take him out, but people are trying to also devalue his business by raiding it and stuff like that. So the movie is full of twists and turns. What ends up happening is a bunch of the gangsters get killed, and in the beginning of the movie, you see someone come into the bar where Matthew McConaughey is, and you think that he gets shot, but when you catch up to the present in the story, it shows that Charlie Hunnam, who works for Matthew McConaughey, comes in and shoots the guy before he could shoot him. The two protagonists, if you want to call them protagonists because they're still gangster drug dealers, but, they're protagonists in the movie. Charlie Hunnam and Matthew McConaughey. I'm sorry, I don't remember the characters' names offhand, but they are running the pot business, and Matthew McConaughey's considering selling the business, and all these other people betray him, just like gangsters do when there's a business that people want to take over. But they end up being alive at the end. The other gangsters end up getting killed, and one final twist at the end of the movie is that Hugh Grant's character also betrayed him, and Charlie Hunnam catches up with him, and he gets in the car and they drive off, and that's the last you know of anything that happens. So Matthew McConaughey's fine, Charlie Hunnam's fine, everyone else in the movie is pretty much dead, and he can retire or he can continue his business and do what he wants to do without worrying about any of the people that are going after him because they're all taken care of. And I know that that's a brief synopsis, but I could sit here for 20 minutes explaining everything that happens in the movie, but this is a review, and I want to give my thoughts more than I want to give a synopsis of the movie. So I think the movie had some really good performances, especially by Charlie Hunnam. I really only know him from Pacific Rim, and he really showed that he has range as an actor. He could be intimidating, he could be funny, he could be the action guy, he could be dramatic, and he's very expressive. Like, you can look in his eyes and tell what mood he's in as a character, and that's pretty rare. And even Hugh Grant, okay, I do not like Hugh Grant. I never did. I think he's a typecast. I think most of the characters he plays in most every movie is bland and boring and the same and everything like that. He's a pretty boy. But this movie kind of changed my mind a little bit because he played like a slippery little weasel, and someone that always involved themselves in the affairs of people that he's reporting because he plays a reporter in the movie, but he gets out and before anybody could catch up to him. But At the end, they catch up to him, but of course, in the movie, he's very dodgy, and he talks in this manner that's very frank and pretty funny as well. Colin Farrell gives a pretty good performance, and I was never crazy about Colin Farrell, but I don't mind him in this movie. He was actually decent. And there are actually a lot of good performances in this movie. One thing I got to give Guy Ritchie is that he knows how to bring a cast of characters and make them do what he wants them to do in the movie. And what they do in this movie is pretty effective. I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was a pretty good shoot 'em up, drug infested, character driven, story driven type of movie. It kind of reminded me of Tarantino's style, but not to the point where I thought that he was like, okay, I'm just going to copy Tarantino, because he kind of did his own thing at the same time. But you could definitely tell where the influence came from. I'll just say that. And it's funny because I was on the fence about even seeing this movie, but it was really the only thing out. There wasn't much else to see. And my friend was like, come on, let's go see this. I'm like, all right. And, I was pleasantly surprised. I didn't think it would be very much, because the trailers didn't really wow me. But I think it's hard to make a trailer for this type of movie because a trailer is only 2 minutes, and there's so much going on in the movie throughout its 2-hour runtime that there's no way a trailer could do it justice. But after watching the movie, I can say that I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was entertaining. There were good performances. It was violent. It had a lot of action. What else could you want out of a movie like this? So yeah, it was very enjoyable. How I see it, I would give it an A-. And for a movie that I probably wouldn't have seen if my friend didn't push me to see it, that's a pretty good score, I think. So that's a pretty short review. But like I said, there's a lot going on in the movie that I can't just sit here for a half hour and explain everything. It's probably better if you see it, or you probably have seen it if you're watching the review, but you know what I'm talking about. There's just too much to dive into. There's just a lot of things in the movie that work. The characters work, the twists work, the violence works, and the humor works too. It's a very, I think it's billed as a crime drama / comedy / action, and that's probably the best way it could be categorized because it's all those things. But okay, that's review 2 of 2 today. I will see you next time, probably for Birds of Prey, but I said that last time, right? So now we have another couple movies today. But whatever I see you next for, I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
Woke up this morning, radio got me out of bed. I can't get that song out of my head. I catch it little bit, not complicated. I can't get that song out of my head.